Imagination is the true creative force, not wishful thinking, but vivid assumption. When people hear the word imagination, they often think of fantasy, daydreams, or idle thoughts. But this misunderstanding is the very reason so many continue to feel powerless in a world they are meant to master. You are not here to merely observe reality. You are here to create it. And the instrument by which you create is your imagination, not the scattered flickers of fantasy, but the focused, conscious act of assuming a reality so vividly that it becomes the only truth you know. Imagination is not a plaything, it is the spiritual act of creation. Every event, every relationship, every condition you experience now was once imagined, consciously or unconsciously. The world you live in is nothing more than the outpicturing of your inner state. This is not metaphor, this is law. As within, so without. So when you use imagination rightly, not to hope, not to wish, but to assume, you place yourself in harmony with the divine pattern of creation. You do not hope that good things will come, you imagine they already have, and you feel the truth of it. Assumption is not pretending. It is not saying, I want, while feeling lack inside. It is the deliberate acceptance of a state before it has any physical evidence. You do not ask the mirror to smile before you do. You smile first. So too, you must occupy the state you desire, mentally and emotionally, before the world has any choice but to reflect it. This is not manipulation of matter, but alignment with the law of being. You are always assuming something. The question is, are you assuming consciously or passively? Are you imagining what you desire or what you fear? The one who understands the power of assumption knows that the future is not created by effort alone, but by the feeling of already being there. To imagine vividly is to allow the unseen to take form. To feel it real is to call the invisible into visibility. This is how prayers are answered, not by crying out, but by entering the state of the answered prayer and dwelling there in feeling. The universe cannot ignore a consciousness that lives in the reality of what it asks for. It must comply because it is not separate from you. It is you pushed outward. So how do you do this? You quiet the world, turn within and ask yourself, what would it feel like if it were already true? Not, how do I make this happen? But, how would I feel if it had already happened? That feeling is the signal. That assumption is the seed, and once planted, it grows, often in ways the conscious mind cannot predict. You don't need to force the how. You only need to persist in the feeling of the end fulfilled. Persist not anxiously, but faithfully. Return to it often, dwell in it gladly, and trust that your inner world is already creating the outer one. The real work is not in trying harder. It is in believing more deeply, in dropping the old assumptions of doubt, unworthiness, and delay, and replacing them with the bold assumption of, I am already that. Imagination is not a future tool, it is the present doorway. The moment you imagine vividly and accept it emotionally, the bridge of events begins to unfold. You may not recognize it at first, because it doesn't always come with thunder or lightning. But the seed has taken root, and in due season, you will walk in the very world you imagined. Let go of thinking imagination is lesser than action. Action is the echo. Imagination is the cause. Assume it, feel it, live from it. And the universe will shape itself around your inner conviction. As surely as light follows dawn, you do not beg or plead. You assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled. This single truth, if accepted and practiced, can utterly transform your life. The act of asking the universe is not one of desperation. It is not the behavior of one who lacks, nor the habit of one who believes in a power outside of themselves. To beg is to say, I do not have. To plead is to affirm that you are separate from what you desire. And as long as you declare yourself separate from your desire, it will remain apart from you. The true way to ask, the only way that the universe cannot refuse, is through assumption. The quiet, inner movement of stepping into the state where your desire is already real. When you beg, you speak from a place of fear. When you plead, you project doubt into the very space you want to fill with faith. But assumption, true, vivid, confident assumption, carries the tone of divine certainty. You are not asking for something in the future. You are not waiting to be given permission. You are entering the state where it is already done, already given, already yours. This is not arrogance. This is truth. This is the language the universe speaks. It does not respond to outer noise, to frantic repetition, or to emotionless rituals. It responds to inner conviction, to the silent knowing that comes from assuming the feeling of the wish fulfilled. You must not say, I hope it comes. You must say, it is here. You must not ask, will I get it? You must ask, what would I feel if I had it right now? And then you must feel it. You must allow that feeling to live within you, to move through your body, to color your thoughts, your posture, your tone, your very being. When you assume, you do not play games with appearances. You don't wait for the world to change first. You live in the new world now, within your mind and spirit, until the outer must conform. This is the sacred act of claiming, not by words, but by being. You are not waiting for the world to say yes. You are saying yes to yourself. You are claiming your place in the reality you desire. You do not demand from others, you command from within. And this command is not loud or forceful. It is still. It is sure. It is rooted in knowing. You assume the feeling of wealth, and you carry yourself as one who is not concerned with lack. You assume the feeling of love, and you speak and move as one who is already deeply cherished. You assume the feeling of success, and you think as one whose work already blesses the world. In this state, you become magnetic. You do not chase. You do not struggle. You attract. The assumption becomes your state of consciousness, and consciousness is the only cause. Life must mirror it. Conditions must bend to match it. That is the law. You are not fooling yourself. You are awakening your true self. You are not denying reality. You are choosing which reality to occupy. For there are infinite states, and you are free to inhabit any one of them through assumption. Let it be quiet. Let it be sacred. Let it be natural. Feel it gently and return to it often. The outer world may offer delay or contradiction, but do not argue with shadows. Remain faithful to the feeling. Persist in the end, and the end must appear. For what you assume in imagination, what you feel to be real, hardens into fact. You do not need to prove yourself to the universe. You only need to prove to yourself that you are what you seek. And you do that by feeling it real, by walking in the world with the awareness that your prayer has already been answered, your desire already fulfilled. Do not beg, do not plead, assume. And the universe will yield to your certainty. The universe mirrors consciousness. Not your words, but your inner state. What you truly believe, what you consistently feel, what you dwell upon in the quiet of your heart, these are the seeds from which your world is born. Life does not answer to what you say with your lips. It responds faithfully to what you whisper to yourself when no one is listening. It is not the spoken wish, but the sustained assumption that creates reality. It is not the ritual, but the emotional atmosphere within that becomes the mold for your outer experience. Many people speak of wanting change, of desiring more, of hoping for better. They repeat affirmations, speak positive phrases, and pray with great effort, yet nothing changes. Why? Because the consciousness behind those words remains rooted in lack, in doubt, in fear. The universe cannot be fooled by empty speech. It listens only to the language of vibration, and vibration is determined by state of consciousness. If you say, I am wealthy, while feeling poor, the universe feels your inner poverty and reflects it. If you say, I am loved, while feeling unworthy, you remain in a state where love cannot reach you. The truth is, your world is not happening to you. It is happening through you. Your consciousness is the projector, and the world is the screen. If you want the picture to change, you must go to the source. You must examine the images playing in your imagination, the emotions that live beneath the surface, the assumptions you carry as normal. For those assumptions, whether you're aware of them or not, are what the universe mirrors back to you with perfect accuracy. This is why some people always seem to have it easy. Their inner state is aligned with abundance, with confidence, with expectation of good, and so life flows in that direction. Others may struggle and push and strive, but if their inner state remains tied to struggle, that is what they continue to experience. The universe does not judge or discriminate. It simply reflects. It gives you not what you want, but who you are being inside, constantly, faithfully, and without hesitation. So to shift your world, you must shift your state. Not by effort, but by awareness. Begin to notice the thoughts you think without trying. Notice the emotions that rise in you when no one is watching. Ask yourself, what am I really assuming about life, about myself, about what's possible? And when you see that the assumptions are rooted in limitation, do not condemn yourself. Simply change them. Begin to feel a new truth. Begin to assume a new reality, gently, repeatedly, until it becomes more familiar than the old one. This is not forced pretending. This is not positive thinking layered on top of fear. This is a deep inner movement, a shift in identity, a turning of the heart toward the feeling of your wish already fulfilled. When this becomes your dwelling place, the outer world has no choice but to match it. Conditions change, people respond differently, opportunities emerge where there seemed to be none, all because your consciousness changed first. There is no greater power than this, to know that your reality begins within. You are not a victim of fate or randomness. You are not a prisoner of circumstances. You are the creator, the dreamer, the shaper of the visible from the invisible. The universe only follows your lead. If you shift your state, truly, sincerely, and persistently, your entire life will bend in response. Stop looking outside for signs of change. Stop chasing results. Begin with yourself. Begin with the state you carry each day. The world you see will always mirror the world you hold within. When you understand this, you no longer wait. You no longer worry. You become still, you become clear, and you assume the state that matches the life you desire. And the universe will reflect it faithfully, as it always has. Asking is not external, it is an inner act of conviction and faith. When most people think of asking, they think of pleading to something or someone outside themselves. A deity, a person, or the universe, as though it were some distant force separate from their own being. But true asking, the kind that moves the unseen into form, is not outer speech. It is the silent, inner alignment with what you desire. It is the inward declaration that what you seek is already yours. It is not a question, it is a decision. It is not about using the right words, it is about entering the right state. This kind of asking happens without desperation, without urgency, without fear. It comes from calm inner knowing, from quiet certainty, from spiritual confidence. You are not saying, please give me this, as if the universe must be persuaded. You are saying without words, this is who I am now. And the entire reality around you begins to adjust itself to match. There is no need to prove anything to anyone. You don't perform your faith, you live it. You ask with your inner vibration. You ask with your state of being. To ask in this way means to assume possession of your desire in the unseen, to feel the emotion of fulfillment even before it becomes visible. It is not wishful thinking, it is emotional conviction. And this conviction is what begins to mold the fabric of your experience. The outer world is a mirror, and this kind of inner asking plants the seed that the mirror will inevitably reflect. When you truly ask in this way, there is no anxiety. You don't wonder when or how. It already is. You let the outer process unfold in its own time, not because you're indifferent, but because you know it is already done within. This is the essence of faith, not belief in a distant power that might respond, but trust in the law of consciousness, the certainty that whatever is accepted within must express without. So asking is not begging. Asking is not waiting. Asking is not even talking. Asking is embodying the end. It is going inward and resting in the version of yourself where your desire is already a living reality. It is becoming so deeply absorbed in that state that the old reality begins to dissolve, replaced by a new one that reflects your inner shift. You do not need to be loud. You do not need to prove anything. You simply need to become inwardly convinced and hold that conviction with quiet persistence. This is why some people ask once and receive, while others ask for years and see no change. The former asks from a place of already having. The latter asks while still dwelling in lack. If you believe you do not yet have, and that the thing is far away, your inner asking contradicts your desire. But when you feel from the place of fulfillment, even before the world shows it, your asking becomes pure. It becomes irresistible. It becomes a declaration that creation must obey. The key is not in the words you use, but in the tone of your consciousness. Are you asking as one who knows it is done, or as one still hoping it might be? Shift the tone. Enter the fulfilled version of you now. Let your imagination be the stage where the answered prayer already lives. Let your emotions wrap around that scene until it feels natural, until it feels familiar. That feeling is the true asking. That feeling is your connection to the infinite. The universe does not delay out of reluctance. It responds to the delay within your own consciousness. When you remove the sense of separation, when you stop placing your desire in the future and instead embody it in the present through feeling, you activate the creative power within. You become the answer. You become the prayer fulfilled. So ask, not with noise, not with fear, not with words shouted to the skies. Ask by going within. Ask by knowing. Ask by becoming. And the universe, which is your reflection, will answer in kind, because it has no choice. It always gives you who you are. Live in the end. Occupy the reality mentally, and it must externalize. This is the secret hidden in plain sight, the principle that governs every transformation in your life. To live in the end means to mentally and emotionally dwell in the state of your fulfilled desire, not in imagination as a fantasy, but in consciousness as a reality. It is not waiting for change. It is becoming change within. Before anything in the world moves, you must move inwardly. Before any door opens, you must first walk through it in your mind. This is how creation unfolds. This is how desire becomes form. To live in the end is not to daydream about something distant. It is to declare, this is already mine, not with arrogance, but with quiet assurance. You must assume the feeling of already being the person who has what you want. This is not pretending, it is choosing. It is stepping into a new identity before the outer world confirms it. The world cannot give you what your consciousness does not first accept. That is why so many chase, strive, and struggle, because they keep acting from the state of not having. And the law returns to them more of that lack. When you live in the end, you no longer argue with appearances. You do not wait for conditions to change in order to feel differently. You feel differently first, and conditions must follow. That is the law. You cannot live in fear and receive security. You cannot dwell in lack and expect abundance. You must go to the end in your imagination and make it your home. The outer world is slow to respond, but it always responds. It reflects your dominant inner state, not your moments of wishing, but your consistent dwelling place. This means you must become intimately familiar with the version of you who already has the thing desired. Ask yourself, if this were already done, how would I feel? How would I think? How would I walk through this day? And then live that way, not with forced effort, but with inner agreement. You are not faking it. You are aligning with a version of yourself that already exists in consciousness. You are stepping into the timeline where your desire is already real. And the more you do this, the more natural it becomes. Soon, it is no longer a hope, it is your identity. This is how you bring things into being, by assuming their presence before they are seen. You live from the end, not toward it. The moment you occupy the end in feeling, your mind begins to think new thoughts, your body moves in new ways, and your reality begins to rearrange itself to support this new state. The world cannot resist a person who is fully rooted in the end. Events shift, people respond, circumstances change, not by force, but by the quiet power of inner conviction. You are always living in the end of something. The question is, which end are you choosing? Are you living in the end of your fears or the end of your faith? Are you dwelling in the state of delay or the state of completion? Your results will tell you where you've been living, not as punishment, but as perfect reflection. If you don't like what you see, change the inner state, move to a new end, and do it again and again until the new becomes natural. This takes courage. It takes discipline, because the world will tempt you to react to what is. But if you can remain faithful to the end you've chosen, if you can live from it inwardly even when nothing outside supports it, then you are standing in the place of true creation. You are no longer at the mercy of circumstances. You are the cause of them. So live in the end. Feel it now. Think from it. Breathe from it. Let it become so familiar that nothing outside of it can shake you. And soon the world around you will catch up. It will take the shape of your inner conviction, because it must. That is the law. That is the promise. When you live in the end lives in you, and it is only a matter of time before it appears. Feeling is the secret. The universe responds to your emotional atmosphere, not your effort. Your feelings are the creative currency of reality. They are not mere reactions to what happens around you. They are the very blueprint of what is to come. It is through sustained feeling that you impress your desires upon the unseen. Thought alone, if not charged with feeling, remains lifeless. It is feeling that gives thought its shape, its color, its power. You do not get what you want by working harder in the outer world. You get what you are in vibrational alignment with through feeling it real in the inner world. Most people live by sight. They look around and let their emotions be dictated by appearances. If things look good, they feel good. If things look bad, they feel low. But this is backwards. This is living as a reactor, not as a creator. True power lies in choosing the feeling regardless of what the world says. Feeling is not a response. It is a cause. It is the engine of manifestation. The one who can feel wealth before seeing money, who can feel love before receiving affection, who can feel success before any achievement. That one holds the key to deliberate creation. The law does not respond to what you should feel, nor what you pretend to feel. It responds to what you deeply, truly, consistently feel to be real. You may speak all the affirmations in the world, but if underneath your words lies the feeling of doubt or lack, it is the feeling that will dominate. The universe doesn't read your voice. It reads your state. That state is shaped by your emotions. Emotions that must match the reality you seek to create. This is why imagining your wish fulfilled must be more than a mental picture. It must be soaked in the emotion of already having. If you can see it and then feel it as real, the excitement, the peace, the gratitude, the satisfaction, then you are planting a seed that cannot help but grow. Feeling it real is not about forcing emotion. It is about gently and willingly stepping into the mood of your fulfilled desire and remaining there, even when appearances suggest otherwise. Your emotional consistency becomes the signal, and the universe echoes it back to you in form. Feeling is the bridge between the invisible and the visible. It is the substance of faith. To feel something that has not yet materialized is to demonstrate trust in the unseen. And that trust is magnetic. It draws circumstances, people, and events that match your internal world. This is not imagination as escape. It is imagination as creation. You are not avoiding reality. You are reconditioning it. You are not deluding yourself. You are shaping the next version of your life through emotion. If you want to know what is coming into your world, examine how you feel most of the time. Not what you say you feel, but what you return to again and again. Your dominant emotional tone. That is the vibration you live in. That is the frequency the universe listens to. It is never about brief moments of high feeling. It's about the atmosphere you carry within. Change that, and everything outside begins to shift. So when you ask, do not ask with worry. When you imagine, do not imagine with tension. Instead, relax into the feeling. Feel it real. Let the emotion of the fulfilled state become your inner home. Let it rise in you, natural and effortless. And revisit it often, not as a task, but as a joy. Let that feeling become so familiar that anything less feels foreign. And in time, the outer world will rearrange itself to support the state you have claimed within. This is the path. Not effort, but emotion. Not control, but alignment. You feel your way into the new, and the new must come. Because the universe cannot deny the reality of your sustained feeling. When the feeling is true, the result is inevitable. So feel it now, feel it fully, and let that feeling write the story of your life.